Let's build my July TBR. Hey guys, welcome back to Portable Magic, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Trinity. Obviously, I will be building my July TBR this video. So I have some plans for July. The first thing that I need to point out is my husband has 2 weeks of vacation in July. And I don't know if you guys know this. If you're part of my Discord, you know this. If you talk to me regularly, you probably know this. My husband and my son are very clingy. My dog is very clingy, and my mother-in-law has now moved in with us. And so that just kind of adds to the people who need me factor. And so I don't know how much reading I'm going to get done in those 2 weeks. I am going to try. My husband is very aware that I am doing my best to try and continue to make content for everybody, to try and have this outlet as something that I utilize regularly. And so he actually is very supportive of the channel and very supportive of the Discord and all of that stuff. So he's not going to be hounding me to not read, but he will probably keep me very busy. He's one of those people I like to call an extroverted introvert. So he will wrangle me into doing things with him so that we can do things together and not have to do things with a whole lot of other people. All that to say, I have built this TBR with one thing in mind. I am lacking in the 5-star front. Very lacking in this 5-star front. Severely lacking. And so all of the books that I have picked for this month, I have a good idea that they might be a 5-star, or someone else has an idea that they will be a 5-star for me. Now, outside of the looking for a 5-star realm, we do have a book that we are going to start annotating and passing along in my Patreon, and that is King of Wrath. Now, this is a contemporary romance, not really my genre. However, one of my patrons absolutely loves it, Izzy. And so we are kind of going to be annotating this with the thought that one of the patrons might be taking notes for their own work and want to see what we think of this one. And I am really excited. I've heard nothing but great things about this book and Anna Wong in general. So contemporary romance, like I said, not really my thing, but we're gonna go through this and see how it goes. She's the wife he never wanted and the weakness he never saw coming. Ruthless, meticulous, arrogant, Dante Russo thrives on control, both personally and professionally. The billionaire CEO never planned to marry until the threat of blackmail forces him into an engagement with a woman he barely knows. Vivian Lau, jewelry heiress and daughter of his newest enemy. It doesn't matter how beautiful or charming she is, he'll do everything in his power to destroy the evidence and their betrothal. There's only one problem. Now that he has her, he can't bring himself to let her go. So I'm very, very excited about this. I'm not going to read the second half of the synopsis because, again, I like to go into books a little blind. And with me annotating this, I do have a feeling that I'm going to have thoughts I don't want tainted by the synopsis, if that makes sense. Then our buddy read for the month will be Gods of the Weirdwood by R.J. Barker. If you guys don't know this, R.J. Barker is an auto-buy author for me. I absolutely love all of his works. I have read, I can never remember the name of the series, but Age of Assassins, Blood of Assassins, King of Assassins. I have read Tide Child, which is the Bone Ships, Call of the Bone Ships, the Bone Ships Wake. And now I'm very excited to read R.J. Barker's newest, and I'm also very excited to be getting to this now because the second book will be coming out very soon. And like I said, huge fan of his work. His works do lean dark fantasy, so I am very interested in what he's going to do with a forest setting because creepy forest is totally my vibe. And I do think that R.J. Barker encompasses what my vibe is in all of his writing, so looking forward to it quite a bit. And then I reached out to my patrons and said, hey, listen, I'm lacking in 5 stars. Can you guys look at my list and tell me what you think would be a 5-star read for me? And so each patron, because I have 3 currently, picked one book, and these are the books they chose. So Izzy chose The Sun and the Void. Now, if you guys have been around for a little while, you will know I recently, I want to say as early as January, so not too recently, had to set this book aside because there were a lot of details that were going over my head. And so I was like, okay, I'm not getting into this. I can't focus on it. and I had to set it aside, but I am eager to pick it back up. This was on my pile of shame. You guys have probably heard me talk about it. I really need to do a video for it, but I'm excited to get back into this mainly because of who blurbed it. MJ Kuhn, H.M. Long, Tara Sim, Melissa Caruso, Ava Reed. I've loved books by all of these authors. So very much looking forward to getting into this. I do know that there is some controversial material in this that I will have to just kind of deal with and see how I react to it. I will be doing a vlog for this one and the next two for my patrons. So my mom is also a patron of mine, and she chose Kristen Hanna's The Women. Now, one of the reasons that she chose this is because I introduced her to Kristen Hanna, and she has been devouring Kristen Hanna books since. And we started with The Nightingale, which is, I think, a general favorite of Kristen Hanna, but The Four Winds was so good and spoke to us so much because we are from Oklahoma, and reading about the Dust Bowl and our history, my mom remembers some of those stories, and I remember hearing some of those stories from my mom. This is her newest release. We're very excited to get into this. I'm gonna try and see if she'll buddy read it with me. Maybe she's already read it, she might have. But if she'll buddy read it with me, then I will try to get some of my mom's thoughts into the vlog as well. But very excited for this one. I don't even really know what it's about. Women can be heroes. When 20-year-old nursing student Frances Frankie McGrath hears these words, it's a revelation. Raised in a sun-drenched, idyllic world of Southern California and sheltered by her conservative parents, she had always prided herself on doing the right thing. But in 1965, the world is changing, and she suddenly dares to imagine a different future for herself. When her brother ships out to serve in Vietnam, she joins the Army Nurse Corps and follows his path. Oh, it is going to be a wartime novel. I didn't know that. That's kind of cool. But it's the Vietnam War, so interesting. And like I said, I've loved Kristen Hanna in the past. The Nightingale is one of my favorites, but The Four Winds really holds the cards for me and what it means to me and my family. So I'm very excited to get into this one too. And then Kate chose one that is a TBR Vet, The Lost Queen by Signe Pike. If you remember, my best friend chose this as a book that she wanted me to read, and I never got around to doing that vlog because the situation in my household changed and it was very stressful. So it was a vlog that I had to set aside for the time being. But this is Outlander meets Arthurian legend, and I'm very much looking forward to that. It's one, like I said, that's been on the TBR for a very long time. I do have the second book because I do believe I'm going to love this. Again, this vlog, or this month, is about 5 stars for me, so I'm picking books that I think will get me as close as possible. There's a chance that some of these will be duds, but I think Kate has hit the mark with this one. So next is going to be my priority reads for the month that I do also think hold like a solid, decent chance of being 5 stars. You will see one that's come up on multiple TBRs of mine that I have not been able to get around to yet, and I'm very excited to get to, and might likely be the first book that I pick up in July, but we'll get to that in a second. I recently got my copy of The Bound Worlds by Megan E. O'Keefe. Yes, it released yesterday. Yes, it showed up on my doorstep yesterday. Why am I not reading it yet? Because I actually started A Feather So Black, which is also a 5-star prediction. And I'll just show off my beautiful Fairy Loot edition for you guys. But this is the conclusion to my now favorite sci-fi series of all time. And this has so much going on in it that I can't even really explain it, but we have corrupted politics, we have romance, we have sci-fi space opera, we have space battles, we have zombie-like creatures, we have so much stuff going on in this AI, just so many different things that I really love in sci-fi that have made this absolutely addictive, so fun to read, and I believe every book has gotten 5 stars for me. The Fractured Dark, I had a moment with it, but I do think it was my PMDD taking over while I was reading it and not the book itself. So 5 star, 5 star, 5 star. Like, you can't get much better than that, right? And so I'm very much looking forward to this. It's one that I might start before the month starts. but I will have this in my July wrap up. The infamous, we can call this a TBR vet for this year because it's been on multiple TBR MBRs of mine. That would be The Will of the Many. I do worry about the length of this and the fact that my husband is on vacation. Am I actually going to be able to sit down and devote time to it? I don't know. It's a chunk, but I've heard that it reads really fast. It reads very much like Red Rising, and so I'm looking forward to this a lot. I really need to get it on the TBR. I definitely need to get my 12 books by 12 friends read, and this is on that list. Another one that I considered putting on this list is The Dragon's Path, but that's going to be if I get through all of these books. One that I am awaiting the audio because I really want to read this book, but I don't want to mess up the edition of the book that I have. It's not a special edition or anything like that. It's just really beautiful. That would be The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. These are standard first print editions of this book. It's just stunning. And so I'm awaiting Libby's hold. I had to put it on hold again because I didn't get around to it when I meant to get around to it. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this. This is Gothic, Spanish, Golden Age novel. Fate can be changed, curses can be broken. And I know that it has some hard topics going into it. I know we are dealing with a Jewish girl who is facing some oppression. So that could be difficult to read at this time, but I think that I will enjoy this. Okay, the obvious contender that has been released recently for a 5-star, and I'm basing this on previous books I've read by this author. That would be Evocation by S.T. Gibson. Sorry about the background noise, guys. I believe my mother-in-law just woke up. But Evocation, I think, has a good chance of being a 5-star for me. And not necessarily what I've heard about it, because it is getting mixed reviews. But I do like that we have a relationship that's polyamorous in this. That might be fun to read. And I know it's dark. I'm expecting writing like a dowry of blood, but we shall see. A lot of my friends have said that I will probably still really like this. Okay, and then I have 3 series that I am prioritizing reading. I don't know if I will get to these. This might still stay on the back burner for me, but the rest of these are not necessarily priority reads, but reads that I really want to get to in the near future. So keep that in mind, that these are more MBR than they are TBR. And I'm putting a Sorcery of a Queen by Brian Naslund on this list because I really enjoyed the first book. I thought that there were some concepts in there that I would really like to see explored further, and this has a chance of being a 5-star. If it's a 4-star, I won't be disappointed because the first book was a 4-star, but I'm very excited to continue in this series. I've owned it for a while. I need to get around to reading it, so that's why it's on this list. Another that has made some MBRs of mine because I didn't know if I was going to get around to reading it, that's also on an MBR again this time, is Ancillary Sword. This is one that I have to sit down and focus on though, and with my husband being on vacation, I don't know if I'm going to be able to give this book the time that it needs because these are very intricate, detailed books, and they're not clear exactly plot-wise what you're getting yourself into, and so I think it takes time. I just like Aethera Grave. I would love to add this Aethera Grave to the list, but it's another one that is so intricate you really have to pay attention, and again, with my husband being on vacation, I don't know that I would actually have the time I need to devote to it, paying attention and keeping up with all the details. And then, of course, The Spider by Leo Carew. It's another one that's been on multiple lists that I really just need to get around to reading and is a priority series for me. So we'll see. We'll see. Now I'm going to talk about 3 books that are just highly anticipated releases for me that I'd love to get to in July if I can. Who knows if I will actually get there. But they are also 5-star predictions just for the summer by Abby Jimenez. Why is this a 5-star prediction? Because part of your world was 5 stars. Yours truly was 5 stars. So why would the 3rd book not be 5 stars? I love Abby Jimenez. This has also intrigued me to read some Emily Henry, see if what everyone says is true, that they are the stars of contemporary romance right now. But I also love that all of her covers have little animals on them, like tiny little animals. I don't know why that fascinates me so much, but it does. And this is a 3rd book in a series of standalones, and they are only a series because each book harkens back to characters from the other books, so they can be read on their own. 4 dates, a kiss, and a breakup. That's all it will take to find their soulmate. That's the tagline of this, but we do have 2 people who are coming together who are convinced that they are cursed because every time they date someone, when they break up, that person moves on to find the person they're going to marry. So they decide to date to break each other's curse. And it's kind of a fake dating scenario and kind of a, can we break this curse we've fallen into? Are we actually really cursed? No one really knows. But I think it would be a really fun summer read. Especially if we end up going somewhere, this would be a really fun book to take on vacation. And in an effort to find 5 stars, I think I need to get away from fantasy. I'm suffering a bit of fantasy burnout. So a lot of these are still fantasy, but they're lighter fantasy than what I typically read or what I read in the past. This year cannot be typical of anything I've done. However, I do think Simone St. James' Murder Road is a good contender for a 5-star to break me out of the fantasy funk that I've been in. I gave the first book I read by her 5 stars, that would be The Broken Girls, and part of my reason for giving that book 5 stars is because I love a paranormal twist, and I love a paranormal twist that works. Also, Simone St. James is one of 2, maybe 3 authors that did dual timeline and did it well enough for me to enjoy it. But this is about a stretch of highway. A young couple find themselves haunted by a string of gruesome murders committed along an old desert road in this terrifying new novel. So, and this is 1995, so it's kind of a little historical. It's really weird to say 1995 is historical, but I'm looking forward to delving into this and seeing if it will be that 5-star read that I'm hoping for. Now, when I was searching for 5 stars, I did plan a whole month of searching for a 5-star via vlog style, and I was going to take one of my favorite books and pair it up with what other books are recommended if you like that book. And in doing so, I realized I'm not going to be able to do heavy vlogs on vacation. So I chose a couple of the books that I picked that were on that list for my TBR. And one of those is In the Garden of Spite by Camilla Bruce. Now, I love dark historical fiction. Burial Rites is one of my favorite books of all times. Actually, funny enough, it just came up today that Burial Rites is one of my favorite books that I don't talk about very often because it's very dark and I can't recommend it to most people because trigger warnings and how dark the content is and how like hard-hitting and emotional it can be and how devastating it can be to read something like that. So In the Garden of Spite has made this list because it's often recommended for people who like burial rites, and it is about a female serial killer. An audacious novel of feminine rage and one of the most prolific female serial killers in American history and the men who drove her to it. So I'm very much looking forward to this. I do think it will take me again out of my, fantasy funk that I've been in. And, fingers crossed. I love dark stuff. I love dark historical fiction, and I do think that this will fit the bill. All right, that is it for my video today. I hope you guys find something to read in this TBR list of mine. I hope I can get through a good majority of these, but again, there are priorities in this list, and there are some that I hope I can get to, but I can't make any guarantees. I do have a Patreon if you would like to join in on any of the stuff I talked about in this video as far as my patrons are concerned. And if you like this content, like and subscribe. I'll see you in my next video.